Welcome everyone to Stuck in the Middle, brought to you by NSEN. My name is Elijah Campbell, and on today's show we have Xavier Dupree from X's with X and Camden Gathright. And over the phone, thanks to the good graces of 2018 technology, is Rusty Ellis. Rusty, how's it going?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Elijah?
Well, we're doing great. We're doing great. Yeah, we usually, we'll start by leading off with some Middle Tennessee sports news. Mm-hmm. But fellas, I think there was a game last night.
It was a great game. Great game last night, man. Great game.
It was a pretty big game. Most of us, got to watch it. I got to listen to it. I got to listen to Dan Shulman's voice crack a couple times on ESPN radio.
Yeah.
Poor man's going through puberty, but that's one of the greatest college football games you can ever watch. And what do you all think about Nick Saban's move at halftime that really changed the game, putting in Tua?
Go ahead, Zay. I'm gonna let you take this one first.
That move that's why he's one of the greatest coaches of all time, not just college. I mean, he's in college, but I mean, to make that move with Jalen Hurts obviously was not playing well in the first half, and to be able to go into halftime and say, we need a spark, we're going to sit down our starting quarterback who has led us to 2 back-to-back national championship games, who's 25-2, and we're going to bring in a true freshman who really has only played in garbage times of a lot of these games this year. And we're going to play him. That's one of the greatest and one of the gutsiest moves I've ever seen from a head coach, to put that much trust into a true freshman in that type of environment is unprecedented. That move, I mean, and obviously it paid off, but that's going to be talked about for a while. Just that Nick Saban's legacy kind of personifies that move they made last night.
And that's a career defining one.
Yeah,
it is. I looked at the way he played. I came in on the second half actually, and he was amazing. I don't know what it was. I don't know if maybe because he wasn't getting scouted. They had this time to practice for Georgia. They wasn't looking for how do you say this man's name? I don't know.
I was gonna ask before he even spoke. I was like, can we have Cam try to pronounce Tua's last name?
Tagovailoa. We gonna call him Primetime Tua because that's
what he was. Yeah, he primetime.
14 for 24, 166 yards, 3 touchdowns, and just 1 interception. He played great. I mean, my question is, I'm trying to see why he hasn't been starting all along this season. It's just it was a mind-boggling move to me. It was just like, wow, it was crazy, but it worked out for the best for him. And, that's all I really got to say about it, because his play showed it all.
Yeah, the first half definitely did not go well for Alabama on offense.
Time of possession too. Georgia did one of the things that you have to do when you play Alabama. And that's dominate time of possession. And when Alabama's got a defense that's year in and year out, they're historically dominant.
Yep.
You play them. The thing is, you got to wear them down, and you got to be able to keep the ball out of their offense's hands, even though their offense doesn't score the ball a ton.
Yeah.
You got to keep it out of their hands. You got to control the pace of the game, and you got to be able to dictate the game on your own terms. And Georgia did that in the first half. I think they almost doubled them up in terms of numbers of plays.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I think anyone in the Nick Saban era has shut out Alabama at halftime.
Yeah. Georgia really they were clicking in that first half. At halftime it was 13-0. They were clicking. Alabama's defense good enough to where they forced them into 2 field goals.
And that was huge.
Yeah, and that turned out to be really, really big because you give up 2 touchdowns there. And then one more at the end of the half, right before halftime, we might be talking about a different outcome right now. But, I mean, like I said, Bama's defense is good. They held up and made them kick those 2 field goals. And although they scored at the end, them being able to go in at halftime and make those adjustments was really big. Alabama, like I said, Alabama's offense, they couldn't do anything in that first half. Georgia's defense had, everything locked up. They were getting pressure on Jalen Hurts when they decided to run the ball. They were stopping the run. And the play calling kind of in the first half kind of threw me off a little bit for Alabama because they were trying to beat Georgia with speed on the outside, but they were throwing little flare routes and swing routes and stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, at some point you gotta get back to what got you there, and that's power football, running the ball between the tackles, north and south. And so they kind of got away from that in the first half. Jalen Hurts did not play well at all in that first half. And he went 3 for 8, and he had 21 yards.
He had more rushing than he did.
Yeah, he had 47 rushing yards in the first half. He only had 21 passing yards. I mean, and a lot of it, and we're gonna talk about Jalen Hurts, and he didn't play well, and he got benched, but a lot of that wasn't so much on Jalen Hurts. Like I said, the old line could not hold up against that Georgia pass rush, and it seemed like the receivers really couldn't get open either in that first half. So with the combination of Jalen Hurts maybe not being the best passer in the world, the combination of that with the pass rush and the receivers not getting open, that's kind of what led to why Alabama's offense was so stagnant in the first half.
And does it surprise anybody else that now throughout the whole game, Bo Scarborough only had 4 carries for 23 yards?
Yeah, very surprising.
Very surprising.
A guy that's that big, I just have a hard time not seeing. That's when I was listening to the game, of course, and it's halftime, Georgia's up 13-0. And Alabama really was just kind of stagnant on offense, a lot of 3-and-outs. And outside of a Jalen Hurts 31-yard run, they just, like you said, they just didn't get much going. And Bo Scarborough is a tank of a human being.
Yes, yes, he is.
And I just,
yes, he is.
I still don't understand how he doesn't carry the ball more. And last year against Clemson, if he didn't break his leg, I think they win that game because Clemson had no answer for him.
Yeah, and that surprised me too. That really surprised me. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, between Bo Scarborough and Damian Harris, they only carried the ball 10 times throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
Like, they only carried the ball 10 times. So, I mean,
they carried him all year.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
was their offense most of the year.
That was their offense most of the year. And so, once again, and not only Nick going to primetime tour, like my boy Cam just said, they also went to another freshman, Najee Harris. He came and he was the number 1 running back in the nation coming out of high school. And he had 6 carries, 64 yards in the second half.
Percentage.
So you went to 2 freshmen in the backfield, a quarterback and a running back. Jerry Jeudy, another freshman, he made a great catch to in that second half. I think right before that score to tie the game up, he made a great third down catch.
Along the sideline.
Yeah, right there on the sideline. Yep.
Yeah.
So you had 3 freshmen that contributed and made big plays to help bring Alabama back in a national championship game. Now, Jerry Jeudy has played more than, Najee Harris and primetime Tua. But, I mean, just to have that level of confidence in a quarterback and a running back to be like,
and if I'm not mistaken, that receiver who caught the game-winning touchdown pass
was a freshman too. So I mean, you had freshmen all across the board for Alabama making plays, man.
Yeah,
so
speaking of that play, you're the football player in the room, Xavier. What was that safety on Georgia thinking? Please tell me what he was thinking. What did you see from that play that made that happen?
I can't tell you what he was thinking because I'm not him. But it's overtime. You just got a sack. It's 2nd and 26.
It's like a 16-yard
sack. Yeah, 16-yard sack. So I mean, obviously now, and we'll get into Bama's kicking a little bit later. They're out of field goal range, obviously.
Yeah.
And so it's 2nd and 26. You gotta expect, okay, if I'm playing that situation, obviously you're trying to protect the end zone because a touchdown wins. But you're also thinking that Bama's going to try to get some of these yards back because you can go and try to get all 26 yards back, but how likely is it that you're going to get all 26 yards back in one play? So you thinking maybe a little hitch or maybe a slant, some type of curl or something to get some of those yards back to get a manageable third down, and they were playing cover 2 on that side to the single receiver. The receiver stemmed out. He stemmed the corner. The corner played outside leverage, which he was supposed to do. And Tua, he held that safety in the middle of the field and put a laser. I'm talking about he threw a rocket out there.
The pass was incredible.
It was, and to me, it looked like he was about to overthrow him for a minute. Yeah, it just seemed like it just
he held that safety, and that's what he said. That's what he said in the post game interview. He was like, they had 2 high safety. The safety to the single receiver side tried to disguise it. They were playing cover 2, and he just looked and held them in the middle of the field and took a shot.
From a receiver standpoint, or first from the offensive standpoint, you think that was the first option? Was to just that play was designed to just launch that thing downfield, or do you think they were looking towards the other side of the field, but Tua saw something where the safety, because it wasn't a cover 2, like we mentioned earlier for the show. It wasn't a cover 2 because those 2 safeties had been along like the hash marks. And there was no one over there.
Yeah. So I mean, and I don't know if it. I mean, it could have been. It might have been something that you saw. They could have been in cover, and they could have been in cover 2. It looked like a bust. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like they were in 2, at least on that side, and the safety just didn't get to where it's supposed to be. And so I mean that it might have. I don't know if that was the first option. To be real, I don't think that might have been the first option, but he saw something and
exactly.
Like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and try it. We're gonna take this shot right here. So that's credit. That's credit to him, man. Credit to him.
Yeah, it's a smart play for a 18, 19-year-old true freshman on the biggest stage of your sport. To me, probably the most impressive play of that game was the 4th and 4 touchdown pass that tied it up. That was right on the money. And
when I look at their play, I think that may have been one of the luckiest plays I've ever seen.
The timing was impeccable.
Yeah,
it was. I don't even think he saw. Wasn't that the Calvin Ridley touchdown?
Yeah.
When I look at that play, it's like he didn't even see him coming across the field. It's like he was throwing it to somebody else.
And I told Elijah before the show, I was like, I think he was throwing it to Najee Harris in the back of the end zone.
Exactly, and I just think it just came out of nowhere and caught it.
I think he was throwing the ball to to Najee Harris, and Calvin really just stepped in front of it.
I think you never admit to not throwing it to Calvin Ridley because if you don't know that, then you think this is one of the greatest throws you've ever seen.
Just know that's how we drew it up. That was a great. Yeah, that was a
little
great
bit
play.
of magic to win these championship games, stuff.
Oh yeah.
No, here brings another good question that we talked about earlier. If you're Alabama going into next season, or do you start Tua, or are you giving Jalen Hurts his job back?
To me, I think you just got to let him go at it in the offseason. I think when you look at primetime Tua, I think he probably had an advantage against Georgia, mainly because he wasn't the one getting studied like Jalen Hurts was. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know who this primetime Tua guy was. He just came on the field throwing dimes, making plays. Even that third down play, breaking like 5 tackles to get the first down. Mm-hmm. He just had a great game. That's just all it takes. But I think you need to let him battle Jalen Hurts in the offseason just to see where he can stack it. Because you never know how teams can see, his weak points in his game. So I think you just let him battle it out. But I think Jalen Hurts will probably start next season just because he's the higher guy. So
yeah, I understand that, and I also think you gotta let him battle it out. Especially in spring and over the summer and stuff, you have that competition between both of them. But I was saying last night, I think Jalen Hurts' spot, I think it's taken. I think Tua Tagovailoa, if I said that right.
He might be the closest one to any of us.
I think he's going to be a starter, and it's because throughout the year, you know that Alabama's offense is predicated on running the football, which every year Alabama is going to run the ball and they're going to be effective at it. But the years when Alabama has been really was just like Alabama just can't be beat is when they've been able to throw the ball vertically down the field. Because they always had some receivers that can do that. But when they've had a quarterback that's been able to do that, they've been virtually unstoppable. You go back to, Greg McElroy. You go back to
McCarron,
AJ McCarron,
probably the best one.
So and even Jake Coker, at some point he was able to make plays down the field. And what we saw last night in the second half was that Georgia obviously, and Georgia's defense is very, very good, very, very well coached. And you know that Georgia's defense is going to sell out to stop the run. And they're going to make Jalen Hurts beat them throwing the football. Mm-hmm. In that second half, what you saw was Alabama say, we know we have a quarterback in Tua that can throw the ball down the field. And they let him have it. They let him just go drop back and rip it. And when Alabama is able to throw the ball like that, now you have to worry about play action. You got to worry about rolling. Now you got to worry about anything now because you don't know what's coming now because your safeties are dropping back. You can't bring up your safeties anymore to help stop the run. So now that leaves the front seven susceptible to big plays in the run game. Then he would go with play action. So I think that's what Tua brings to this Alabama offense, and that's why I think he'll inevitably end up being a starter next year. But I do agree with you. You got to go ahead and let him duke it out.
Yeah,
you got to let him duke it out. You got to have that competition.
And one of my favorite radio shows to listen to is the Jason Smith Show on Fox Sports, and he made a good point last night. I was driving back from Cool Springs listening to the post-game coverage. He said, Cardell Jones did the same type of thing for Ohio State, and he turned out not to be the guy. Braxton Miller and JT Barrett were still, the preferred quarterbacks in that system. So what he did, and of course Cardell Jones did it in 2 games or 3 games, the Big Ten championship game where they won by almost 60 points, and then go in and upset Alabama, and then upsetting Oregon to win a title. Tua kind of looked like the same way. Teams couldn't figure him out. He's new. It's hard to game plan for him. But in terms of just like being a quarterback, I like Tua so much more than Jalen Hurts. And Xavier nailed it, talking about just how the vertical passing game makes Alabama almost unstoppable. Like it's incredibly hard to beat a Nick Saban coach team when they have a quarterback who can throw it down the field. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing next year.
Yeah, it will. It'll be fun. It will be.
They're without a doubt the favorites. Next year too, and of course, here's how I want to relate this back to Middle Tennessee sports. Xavier, you guys play at Georgia next year.
Yes.
How hard is that game going to be? Because they're going to be losing Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, but Fromm's going to be back. Mm-hmm. I don't know about the rest of the receivers, but Ridley's probably going to be back. Don't know about Hardman and Godwin.
Yeah.
Or Wims.
Any road game is going to be tough. You go to a road game, SEC country, then you go ahead and ratchet that up. Like Jake Fromm's coming back. They're bringing in Justin Fields or whatever, so they'll figure out what's going on between them two as far as the quarterback situation goes. But they're losing Sony Michel and Nick Chubb as far as running backs goes, but they still have DeAndre Swift, who is one of the fastest guys I've seen ever. He's got some wheels, and he's a freshman. McCall Hardman, I'm pretty sure he'll be back. So, and they're losing some seniors on defense too, but I'm pretty sure Georgia has some guys that can come in to play. So, it'll be a tough game. It'll be fun. Go back to home state and play a game. But it'll definitely be a tough game. It'll definitely be a tough game.
For sure.
Yeah.
Good opportunity to say you're playing against the SEC champions.
It'll definitely be a tough
national runners-up. So it's a good opportunity. You guys play 3 SEC games next year, and that one's without a doubt the biggest one.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
3
and now, and if I'm not mistaken, they're on the road.
Yep.
Yeah. Vandy, Kentucky, and Georgia. Speaking of Middle Tennessee sports, the basketball team finished up their road trip and their home hiatus, playing on the road for over a full month. Now, Rusty, we for sidelines we keep up with religiously with this Middle Tennessee basketball team. And to be honest, in the last 2 games against Florida Atlantic and Florida International, the offense completely stalled out. But at the same time, you've won your 7th true road game. You're 7-0 on the road in true road games, which leads the country. Some teams don't even haven't played 7 true road games. We have 7 true road wins. What's your takeaway from just from the Florida trip? I guess Florida International, Florida Atlantic, the 2 recent games.
Well, honestly, I mean, champions or conference champions find ways to win. That's really kind of how you have to look at it. As winners, teams that win games just have to find ways to win. Doesn't always have to look pretty. It doesn't always have to look smooth. I mean, as long as you're up when the clock hits zeros, it sounds cliche, but as long as you're up when the clock hits zeros, it doesn't really matter how it was done. Now, that being said, I think what you've seen the last 2 games, especially from Nick King, is that he showed 2 double-doubles in the last 2 games. He has taken that hot start he's had this year, and he hasn't slowed down at all. The scoring may have slowed down a touch, but what he has done also is he's improved his rebound. Early in the year, he'd get 23, 24 points, but he only had 6, 7 rebounds, which for a center is not that good. So what you're seeing from him in the rebounding department, I think it's helping them because it's forcing other teams to not only have to box out Brandon Walters or Carl Gamble, depending on who's on the floor, you're also having to make sure you've got a body on Nick King, because we all know that Nick King is most dangerous when he's got the ball around the basket. He can shoot, he can make his own shot, but when he's got the ball, within probably 7-8 feet of the paint or 7-8 feet of the hoop, there's no telling how he's going to get the ball to go in, but he's going to get the ball to go in.
Right.
I think you've also seen the defense play really, really well when it mattered. I mean, to go on the road, the whole thing is, winning games on the road is hard, winning conference games is hard, but winning conference games on the road is probably the hardest thing to do in college basketball. And to win a game in overtime against an FIU team that was honestly probably the team that most wanted to get MT this year, because, or maybe that was FAU, I don't know, it's one of the Florida teams. Both of those teams played MT really tough last year. In fact, I think FAU only had, it was either FAU or FIU, one of them only had 6 wins last year, and last year at, the Murphy Center, they had them down 20-2 at one point. They had MT down 20-2. So you're playing against 2 teams that, while their records may look a little deceiving, trust me, MT was going to get their best shot no matter what. They could have 1 win, and they're going to give MT their best shot. That's just the case of being a conference champion the past 2 years.
And just being the conference champion, dominating the conference like they have, and that's a good way, a good thing to take away from it is you're going to get everyone's best shot. And if you get anything from these games, it's that A, you can pull games out in tight situations, and B, you're still, at the end of the day, you're still winning. You're still winning road games far from home, and you're getting production out of a couple players, Nick King and Giddy Potts, with the exception of the Florida Atlantic game where he shot 2 for 6 from 3-point range. For almost the whole month of December, he was shooting over 50% from 3. Like, Giddy Potts is finally being Giddy Potts again, is hitting big time shots and is making plays. The only thing that really concerned me for Middle Tennessee, because you're going to play close games in conference basketball is always hard. Your opponents, especially when you're a team like Middle Tennessee, you dominated the conference the last 2 years. There's a target on your back, and you're getting everyone's best shot. Ask Duke and Kentucky and North Carolina how their road conference games against teams like Boston College and NC State and all those guys are when you're the king of your conference. The big thing that is a little alarming to me from Middle Tennessee is the assist to turnover ratio. In Florida Atlantic, they only had 6 total assists as a team. They turned the ball over 17 times. That's always a big stat. What coaches look at how you're moving the ball and how your offense is functioning. That's a little concerning. And getting 4 turnovers from Nick King and Giddy Potts is a little concerning as well. Is it fixable? Absolutely, but it's just not something you want to be doing in January. But I think coming back home is going to help that a lot. Playing these 2 home games is going to be instrumental in getting their groove back. Coming up this week, we got 2 home games against Louisiana Tech and Southern Miss. Rusty, from your standpoint, which game holds more importance, I guess, for MT?
It's tough because, Southern Miss has been a very up and down team the last couple of years. Last year, I don't believe they made the conference tournament last year. I could be wrong on that. And if they did, they were a very, very low seed. It sounds obvious dealing with the La Tech game, but honestly, that is the bigger game. The fact of the matter is, La Tech is a team that, thanks to guys like Daquan, thanks to, a great young player, Daquan Bracey, and, I can't remember, Jacoby, I can't remember his name. He was suspended after the UAB fight last year. Thanks to, those two, this La Tech team is still a pretty solid team as a whole. Are they as good as last year? I wouldn't say so, because obviously Eric McCree is one of the best players they've had in the last few years. They don't have it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got, in my opinion, some good young players. They've got, they're very well coached. That's obviously the biggest cliche, and a lot of coaches say that of other teams, but they are incredibly well coached. And I think that one thing they did last year to MT that really kind of gave them the edge early in that game was they made MT uncomfortable. They made MT take tough shots. And when you're able to make guys like Reggie Upshaw and Ja'Cory Williams, who are two guys that really, they just score the ball. They're just scorers. They don't really do it one certain way. When you're able to make it to where those two are a complete non-factor for the first half of the game, that's a game that I'm saying you should win that easily. There's no question you should win that, whether you should win that game. Now, obviously, things kind of fell apart for them in the second half, but I think that's still a lot of that game just because that's a team that's going to challenge you in this conference. Southern Miss, like I said, Southern Miss is a big game as well. You don't need to overlook them, but right now it's probably the lot that game.
Yeah, for sure. And Louisiana takes, in terms of scoring the ball, they're really balanced.
I just remembered his name, Jacoby Boykins. I don't know why I forgot that.
He's one of three players.
That's one thing from the game last year was he didn't play, and he was their best shooter. He was their second leading scorer. So I think getting him this go around, it's going to be an interesting game this week.
For sure.
I got a question for you, Rusty. Coming into the season, Giddy Potts was supposed to be the conference player of the year. Do you think he's been playing up to his status this season, or is it because Nick King has came in and took over his supposed to be leadership role?
Go ahead.
You can go ahead. Do you think Nick King just came in and took over his leading role and it's made it difficult for him to get in his groove?
Well, the easy answer there is, Giddy obviously, even with Nick King playing well, the team is still going to rely on Giddy. So it doesn't really if Nick King could be averaging 30 points a game, but at the end of the day, if teams start triple teaming or double teaming him in the paint, you need another option.
Yeah.
But as far as playing up to obviously the player of the year, obviously the answer right now is probably no, just because, we talked about in December, he's, shooting over 50% from three, and he had a great game against FIU before, only shooting, 2 of 6 against FAU. But the month, before December, he just could not find the range on three at all. He couldn't. And it wasn't like he was just playing bad every game. He would make his first three, he might make his second, but then he's not going to make another one the rest of the game. And he's going to take 7 or 8 threes. A shooter of his caliber, if you're going to take 8 threes a game, in my opinion, you need to knock down at least 4 of those. Just because you know how good of a shooter he can be.
Oh, yeah.
But one thing that Kermit Davis talked about early in the year was Giddy also just wasn't defending well. And when you're not defending well on, at one end, 9 times out of 10, your shots, you're going to have a tough time making shots at the other end just because you're either going to be thinking about the mistakes you made on defense or you're just going to be mad at yourself for letting your guys score. I mean, you're not going to be focused on offense if your defense isn't there. And that's kind of what happened early on to quite a few players that Kermit talked to us about. But Giddy probably more so just because if his defense wasn't really there, and then on the other end his shot wasn't there, so he just wasn't playing well as a whole. It helps that Nick King got off to as hot a start as he did because he helped to kind of buoy that whole thing. He helped to kind of, cancel it out. And him playing as well as he did, it enabled him to get off to that big, the 8-2 start before obviously the 2 losses against USC and Miami. But I don't think it has as much to do with, Nick King playing great as it is to, shots just simply weren't falling for Giddy. I think when Giddy gets back to that shooting, 40% from 3 minimum, you're gonna start seeing that same kind of confidence you've been seeing out of him the last 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely feel that for MT to repeat as, conference champions, not just regular season, but also in the tournament, and to get back into the tournament in March, Giddy's definitely going to have to, pick it up. Nick is not going to be able to, they're not going to be able to do what they've done the past 2 years without Giddy shooting the way we know he can shoot. So that's definitely going to be big. And I think, like what Rusty said, with MT coming back home, I think that's going to be big. I think that's going to be huge.
It's going to help out a lot. Yeah,
I think being back on your home, your home court, I think that'll help them a lot.
Yeah, considering the last home game was, I think it was December 9th against Ole Miss.
Yeah, so it's been a minute. It's been a minute, man.
Almost over.
Yeah, not a lot of teams do that, too.
Yeah.
But what we've seen is that they're able to win games on the road.
Yeah.
And being 7-0 in true road games when some teams have only played like 2 or 3 true road games already is a pretty good stat.
That's very impressive, man. That's very impressive.
Sometimes I kind of forget it. They've been to the tournament like the past 2 or 3 years.
2 years.
And a lot of these teams don't make it, so I'm pretty sure this is their big game that they're looking for on their home floor. So
against a team that usually challenges them.
Oh yeah,
Louisiana Tech usually they've got 3 guys that average about 15 points a game.
Yeah.
So they average as a team 80.5.
Yeah.
So offensively, they're really really good. They give up 72 points a game, and they've had a really rough start. Yeah. Louisiana Tech, you're not only getting, of course, being Middle Tennessee, you're not only getting everybody's best shot and everyone's best game. This is an opportunity for Louisiana Tech to get back in the conference. They're 1-3 in conference.
Yeah.
They lost the first 2 on the road to Western Kentucky and a heartbreaker by 1. They lost at Marshall by 13. And then, which are 2 games that, those are 2 of the best teams in the conference.
Yeah.
Then they lost at home to Texas San Antonio by 2 in heartbreaking fashion. No, that's a game you got to win.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, they bounced back and they beat UTEP by 9. But they missed out on a big opportunity in the Texas San Antonio game to kind of even themselves up at 2-2 in the conference. Now they're sitting at 1-3. They're 11th in Conference USA.
I definitely think La Tech is a better team than, especially with their conference, what their conference record is. So, like you said, I mean, this will be a big game coming up on a Thursday, man. This will be a big game coming up for both teams. Both teams trying to get back on track, So
Yeah, and for Middle, it's just, to me, it's just getting back into playing your game, not turning the ball over as much, not, or being able to move it to get more than 6 assists.
Yeah. Oh yeah. In
a game,
you got to be able to. Yeah. You got to cut those turnovers down, and you got to share the ball a little bit better. You got to share the ball better.
And of course, they played Florida Atlantic on Saturday night. They weren't the only team playing a game. There was another team, a local sports team, that had a pretty significant playoff game on Saturday night.
Yes.
I know we have some Titans fans at the table and over the phone. What are our biggest takeaways from the Titans squeaking out that win?
I think we should let Rusty go ahead and answer that question first.
I think Rusty's waited all show to sound off.
I don't want me to answer that first. I'm going to tell you this. Y'all can quote me on this. Y'all can write it. Y'all can put it on wax. Marcus Mariota for the Tennessee Titans is the guy. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can say what you want about the regular season, the whole, 13 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Fact of the matter is, he just proved in a big game on the road, he is the guy for the Titans.
Okay.
He is, it's simple. This regular season can be summed up with one word: anomaly. If you look at his first 2 seasons, he threw, I believe it was something like 24 touchdowns and 10 interceptions his first year, and I think 23 and 9 his second. This year was simply an anomaly because both of those, first of all, 2 years ago, the team had nothing good going for it besides him, because it was a 2-14 team or a 3-13 team. It was a weak team. Last year, he had a good year because he benefited from a resurgent year from DeMarco Murray, who led the AFC in rushing yards. And he also benefited from an offensive line that took an incredible step forward, that became one of the best in the league, second probably only behind Dallas. This year, the problem is that offensive line regressed a little bit. DeMarco Murray was nowhere near the player he was last year. And despite the fact that Derrick Henry, as he proved Saturday, was the more effective back, there was this kind of, reluctance to start him and use him as the featured back. So I think that Marcus Mariota just showed that when he's got his offensive line playing at its best, when he's got a good running back, he can be an elite level quarterback. Is he there yet? No. He's still got plenty of development, to go through. He's still got to develop a decent deep ball. He's still got to work on decision making, because I'm not going to lie, you can't excuse all 15 of the interceptions he threw as bad offensive line play. Because some of them were just terrible throws.
Yeah.
But I think what he showed is that he can be the guy. And what I think a lot of Titans fans wanted to see was, could he be the guy? And he was. Say what you want about it being a lucky play. I don't see Tom Brady, if he has to roll out and make a throw where ball gets deflected back to him. I don't see a player like Tom Brady or give me another pocket pass like Phillip Rivers or Drew Brees.
Or Big Ben.
I don't think I see another one of those guys having the wherewithal or having just the awareness that, oh crap, I can catch the ball. I can catch the ball and then run it in.
Yeah.
I think that's a play that special players that have certain abilities make, and I think Marcus has those abilities.
Marcus Mariota, he showed that he's good. That he's a good quarterback, man. To be down 21-3, and before the game, as much as I wanted to pick the Titans, I couldn't, just because I didn't trust that the offense was going to be able to score enough points. I just didn't trust they were going to be able to move the ball. The offense leading up to the playoffs had become real stagnant for the Tennessee Titans. And with them going down 21-3 at halftime, and for Marcus and that offense to be able to react and be able to come back in that second half and just do what they do. They played smash mouth football, which is what everybody was talking about leading up to the game, is how the Titans played smash mouth football, and that's what they did. They stuck with the run, and Marcus Mariota made some throws. They kept making plays. The defense stepped up and got some stops. Now, granted, Travis Kelce did get hurt, but in that second half, man, Marcus Mariota, he did his thing. He did his thing, man. So hats off to them. Hats off to the Titans, because I didn't see it. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it either.
I think my prediction of the game was Kansas City 30-13. So let me apologize to the Tennessee Titans.
After what happened, it looks like that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
After the first quarter, I was like, man, I think I am. After the first half, I was like, I'm a genius.
Yeah.
And one thing I gotta say is, I know it's kind of crazy, but the hit that Marcus Mariota took from Derrick Johnson in the end of the first half, well, not the end of the first half, close to the end of the first, those are the type of plays that make or break a quarterback.
Yeah, that was a big hit.
He showed no signs of slowing down, and he came out the second half and he played great.
Yeah,
you had the running game going. The defense was playing well. I know Travis Kelce was out, but that has nothing to do with the Titans moving the ball down the field.
Nothing, yeah. And
I'm you know what? I'm taking the Titans to beat the Patriots. But I'm not gonna tell you about this till Friday.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think the one thing I did take away from it, I think Rusty, you're right. I think Marcus Mariota is the quarterback for the Titans. He showed a lot of poise. He showed he had heart, and he didn't quit on his team. And I think another thing I took away is you need to let Derrick Henry be the starting running back. I think you can do a lot more in the passing game. I think you can do a lot more with the read option, because I think Derrick Henry can get to the outside quicker than DeMarco Murray can. I think he's always just a good inside the tackle type runner. He just needs to get better in his pass protection, and that's why Marcus Mariota took that vicious hit from Derrick Johnson. But that's what I took away from it. I think Marcus Mariota has arrived, and he's now the quarterback that we think he can be now.
Yeah,
and touchdown he threw at the end too. That's a big time. Big time throw by quarterback.
That was a great throw, and he, like I said, not only like Russ said, he threw a touchdown to himself, and like you just said, Elijah, that he threw a touchdown to Eric Decker, but we even talked about, to seal the game. It's third down. You need the first down, and the game's over. And they call a read option. Looks like he makes the wrong read, and he gets back out there and he makes a block and springs Derrick Henry. He springs Derrick Henry for the first down. Yeah. So like those type of plays right there, those type of plays where it's like you got a special player, man. That's a quarterback going all out and selling out for his team, man. And that you can see it when he made that block and they got the first down, just how the guys on the sideline reacted when he made that block and how they were all running, celebrating with him. That this team is behind him, they believe in him, and
it's leading by example too.
Yeah, oh yeah, and like I said, they go to New England this week, so we'll see what happens, but they got a good one. They got a good one on Saturday, man. They got a good one.
One of the bigger takeaways.
I kind of go off the whole block thing. I think one thing that really kind of struck me there was this is the second straight week we kind of saw something that was a little out of Marcus Mariota's character, but we saw him do what it takes to win. Obviously the play that every Titans fan, and really probably every football fan that watched the Jaguars game, the one play they remember is him stiff-arming Barry Church.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Marcus Mariota, one, stiff-arm somebody, and two, show the emotion he did when he got up.
Yeah.
And that's simply just a quarterback doing what it takes to win. I think I saw somebody after the Jags game on Twitter saying that it was disrespectful for him to stare down Barry Church. I said, in a big game like that, I would rather my players show emotion and show that they care than try to act like it was no big deal. I'd rather them show emotion.
Yeah,
but it's also showing he wanted to win that game. And then the block, let's be real. If he doesn't throw that block, that's a play that Derrick Henry loses probably 4 or 5 yards.
Oh, yeah.
And, we just saw, 4 plays earlier where the Titans nearly fumbled the ball away.
Yep.
So if Zombo hits him as hard as it looked like he was about to hit him, there's a good chance that Derrick Henry may fumble that ball. So the block is big in more ways than one, and it just happened to spring the run that was needed to clinch the game.
Yep.
But again, it's just Marcus Mariota doing what it takes to win. I was talking to a few friends yesterday, and they said that for you to be a franchise guy, you've got to be able to throw 4 or 5 touchdowns a game. And I looked at him and I asked why that was. Why do you have to throw 4 touchdowns a game to be considered a franchise quarterback?
Yeah.
I think if Marcus Mariota averages 2 touchdowns a game over his career, but he wins the Titans 2 or 3 Super Bowls, I think he's a franchise quarterback regardless of how you spit.
Yeah.
Now, that's not me saying he's going to do that, but it's just simple that I think in considering what a franchise quarterback is, I think you need to look more at wins than you do statistics.
Yeah, and 4 to 5 touchdowns a game.
That's a little unrealistic.
Even some of the best. I'm saying Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, they're not throwing 4 or 5 touchdowns a game, man. Every quarterback has those games where it's like you're feeling it and everything's working well. You throw 5 touchdowns, but you're not going to average throwing 4 or 5 touchdowns a game.
Yeah, I want to give you a list of. I'm going to give you a list of names here, and you tell me what these guys have in common. Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer, Joe Flacco, Doug Williams. All those guys have won Super Bowls as starting quarterbacks in the league.
Yep.
So obviously, being throwing 4 or 5 touchdowns a game isn't a necessity.
No, it's not.
To winning a Super Bowl or to having a team that wins it year in year out. You just need a good defense. I've always thought having a starting quarterback that throws for 1 billion yards in a season isn't necessary to win a championship. Having a great defense does. Ask Matt Stafford how hard it is for him to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
With the defense that he's had to work with some years. Ask Peyton Manning and Drew Brees how they have only 3 between them, and they're 2 of the best statistical quarterbacks in the league. And Tom Brady's got as many as he does, but he's also played with some of the greatest defenses in the history of football.
Yeah.
So having a great quarterback helps, obviously. But what helps Mariota a lot too is the defense. That defense is so good.
Yeah.
And that helps him out a lot. That defense really buckled down. The Chiefs didn't score in the second half.
Nope.
They really buckled down and controlled how Kansas City played. And as great as Mariota was at defense, along with Eric Decker finally being able to catch a football, helps too.
Yeah, I think that once Kelsey went down, I think that really kind of changed the game because Kansas City's offense is definitely predicated on getting him the ball. Andy Reid, you want to get Travis Kelce the ball. He's hired the best receiver on the team, and he's a tight end. So they want to give him the ball because he can make plays. And once he went down and Kansas City decided to go away from the run game, now the Titans were able to go ahead and let's say, okay, now that Kelsey's gone, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bracket Tyreek Hill, and we're going to make we're going to make some of these other guys that maybe people don't know about beat us. Mm-hmm. And like I said, since they went away from the run game, the Titans were able to buckle down and, like you said, shut out Kansas City in the second half, and that's really that definitely helped. Definitely helped the Titans come back and win. It's also with that missed field goal that Butker missed.
Oh, that hurt a lot too.
That missed field goal hurt as well. But yeah, with the Titans defense definitely stood up in that second half and helped the Titans get the dub. And
out of all the other wild card games that we saw this weekend too, who impressed everybody the most just from watching these? Who got probably the biggest win and looks? You think they're a little more of a contender now than they were going into the playoffs?
To be honest with y'all, I think the Falcons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, that's a, and I'm not saying that because of Xavier, but what I saw from the Falcons was, I'm going to be real with y'all. I honestly thought that the Rams had the offense to make a big run. I thought they did. And it looked to me like what the Falcons were able to do was just neutralize them. And what the offense for the Rams or for the Falcons wasn't perfect. They didn't, score every time down the field because obviously the Rams have a solid defense. Mark and I discussed how good Aaron Donald was on Twitter. But for them to go into LA, an area, a fan base that has really been starving for some playoff football.
Oh yeah.
That has really been starving, and a franchise and the Rams that has been starving for just any kind of success. And to have the year they did with Jared Goff and Todd Gurley, who Todd Gurley might be the MVP of the league just for the year he had. But to go in there and neutralize that offense over 13 points and put up 26 on a pretty solid front seven and a pretty solid defense, that's impressive to me for the Falcons. I would not be surprised if they went in and beat the Eagles. I'm just saying.
Especially with Nick Foles at quarterback.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I'm going to agree with Rusty. I'm going to say the Falcons. I was watching this game come on. I thought it was an Olympic, Olympic game was about to get played. They lit a fire and everything. I just saw the fans. They were out. The players on the Rams were hyped, and the Falcons just came out and hit them in the mouth, honestly.
First playoff game in Los Angeles in how long? They haven't had a team in years.
Yeah, I think it's the first home playoff game since 93. I think 1993.
But I think the team but I do want to see the Falcons play this weekend against the Eagles. That defense right there.
Yeah.
That is a bad defense right there.
Yeah.
And I mean bad in a good way.
Yeah.
In the best way.
Like good bad.
Yeah. But I'm gonna say the Falcons. I think they played well, defense played well. They stopped Todd Gurley, which a lot of teams can't do, like my Cowboys couldn't do. And I think they just came out and had the best game this weekend.
I'm glad that you two guys said it first, so I won't seem like so much of a homer. I am a Falcons fan, and I'm trying to stay as
neutral
as possible. The Falcons played a great game on Saturday night. I was worried, especially offensively, because like Rusty said, that Rams defense is good and that front seven is nasty. I mean, and you saw, the Falcons won, but Aaron Donald was all over the place, man. And so I was like, I knew that, if we play our game, we'd be good, we make some plays, but I knew against that defense it was going to be tough. And Matt made plays. We got the ball to Julio Jones, which is something that has to continue if we're going to make a run. But like Ray said, man, our defense has made leaps and bounds from last year. And not saying that the defense was just terrible, because down the stretch when especially in the playoffs, the defense got better. But this year, our defense has been what has kept us in a lot of these games. And nobody has been able to stop Todd Gurley all year, who should win the MVP in my opinion. Todd Gurley should be the MVP, and no one's been able to stop him. And I mean, he had 101 rushing yards, but I mean, every time
kept him out of the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, they kept him out of the end zone. Almost every time he got the ball, someone was hitting him in the backfield. Someone was there to meet him. And the tackling from our linebackers and defensive backs was key. I mean, we made some great open field tackles, and that's how the Rams get a lot of big plays, especially with Todd Gurley. Is yards after the catch. He's able to make somebody miss, and then he's gone. And we tackled very, very well on Saturday. So we go to Philly. You got Nick Foles, who is not, who's obviously not Carson Wentz, and the Eagles haven't looked the same since he's been out. They don't look. They just, and defensively too, they don't look the same. But that defense is still that defense, and they still got some players over there. So that's still going to be a tough game. The weather aspect of it, hopefully.
Being in Philadelphia, bitter winter.
Yeah, hopefully the weather will hold up. It won't be too bad. But
that's a big difference from LA to Philly.
I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, but we looking it's looking pretty good right now. So.
Oh yeah, and being the big winners, having to play Nick Foles and the Eagles instead of having to play the Vikings. That's about all the time we have for today. Thanks for coming on, Rusty, for calling in. Follow us at NSEN __MTDN on Twitter for more updates and podcasts. And we'll be back on Friday to break down some of the divisional round matchups. We've got a couple local teams, Falcons and Titans, playing some big games. And we'll have some post game for MTSU's basketball game against Louisiana Tech, and we'll break down Southern Miss. But until then, stay tuned and take it easy, Murfreesboro.